All right, everybody. Welcome back to the Nomadic Thrive podcast. This is Michael. And I just want to say welcome back to everyone. This is the first episode I have recorded in probably 6 months. And so I'm just excited to be back. I'm not going to get into the whys. I've already explained, various times before why or why not I am recording podcasts. So just a couple notes on audio. I am recording this in the living room today, and you're going to hear the dog walking back and forth on the hardwood floors, so I apologize about that. But I'm testing some new equipment, and it's a little bit too big to put in the bedroom. So at some point, I will find a permanent solution to the podcasting area, and then hopefully the sound will be better. But we're not going to talk about that today. What I want to get into is explaining the future, the vision for this podcast going forward. So yes, I am still committed to it. Yes, I still enjoy podcasting. Yes, I still feel that podcasting in general is a viable entertainment medium moving forward. I enjoy them personally. I listen to 20 probably podcasts throughout the week, 20 different, podcasters or podcast shows or podcast channels. And I really enjoy it. I find it fascinating to see the different takes with the different content creators. So some of them are very short form, some of them are very long form, some of them are fiction, some of them are more like audio plays than just a regular podcast such as this, somebody talking, sharing opinions, or having guests on. There are some new podcasts out there that are telling a story with actual audio production, sound effects, and atmosphere, and it feels very three-dimensional as you're listening to it, especially if you have some really nice headphones with noise canceling, and the sounds move back and forth between each ears. It's really cool. So anyhow, I think that podcasting in general has a very bright future. So I enjoy doing it. I enjoy sharing my thoughts. I get good feedback from, quite a bit of you out there that you do enjoy it. So anyhow, I'm going to get back into it in a serious way, but I wanted to think about kind of rebranding the podcast. And, it's gone through a couple of different iterations. I've done longer form talking head. I've done one interview. I've done some walking and talking through the streets of Shanghai. And while each one has its merits, I don't know if I'm actually committed to any one form. I have a good friend of mine. He and I have been batting back the idea kind of back and forth that we might want to start some sort of a podcast as well. So yeah, I don't know, guys. I'm still, I think, toying with the content, but the overall vision or the mission of the podcast is slightly changing. So the name of the podcast and the name of my website and kind of my whole frame of mind is Nomadic Thrive. And this came about because, I fully believe that you should move every 3 years. Now, I want to preface that by saying, that doesn't mean you have to physically go move to a foreign country or China like I did, okay? Please know that not all of my moves have been to foreign countries. I have moved twice to a foreign country over the course of my life, but I have moved cities, I have moved jobs, I have moved houses, apartments, I have moved countries, like I said, I have moved positions within my company. So this nomadic mindset is more broad than just a simple travel channel. And the reason I wanted to broaden this a bit is because my own personal interests are not just around travel. Some years I travel a lot. Some years I travel hardly at all based on either family or work obligations. So to try to build a channel simply around, kind of as it started with just sharing my thoughts and views, based on my, expat lifestyle in China, I just don't think is realistic, not only for scale and for interest for listeners, but also for my own interest. So I'm not just interested in rehashing all of my thoughts and feelings and experiences about living here in China. Now, my day-to-day will, of course, color and flavor everything that I share. That's human nature. That is just going to happen. So There will still be quite a bit of, travel related expat life, living in China material on the channel. But I also want to broaden the definition of nomadic to also mean nomadic of mind, nomadic of belief. Something I have found, in my 30s and 40s is what I thought I knew, the things I thought I believed in, the political views that I had in the past have drastically changed. And they've changed because I have spent the time to read, listen, search, investigate different ways of thought, different belief systems, different political systems, different religious systems. And through this journey, pardon me, through this journey, it has allowed me to open my mind, and my mind has been free to roam. So my mind is now very nomadic, if you will. I'm going to get a little poetic here because I'm stretching the theme here of our podcast. But I also want to include stuff like self-development and productivity. So I've done some episodes on that in the past. I've done some episodes on creativity and content creation. And again, this is a form of exploration for me. This is a form of allowing my mind and my soul and the things that I believe in to wander into different, I would say, arenas of being. Again, I'm getting a bit poetic, so pardon me. But I'm in my mid 40s at this point, and I am a searcher. I am a seeker by nature. I always have been since I was a little kid. So, as I now have more means, I'm a full-time employee of a great company, and I'm compensated somewhat comfortably. So I do have a bit of discretionary means to explore more now. Maybe where I didn't in my 20s and in my early 30s when I was, working a lot to, build my life and build my family. Now, even though I still work a lot and I'm still building my family, but I've gotten to a place of balance to where I can also put energy into this search for a deeper meaning. And every time I think about this, I always come back to this nomadic mindset to where I'm not going to be, married to something too long. I'm not going to be bonded to a way of thought or a way of being for too long until I arrive at some sort of a truth for myself. So there are various things that I think have become truisms in my life, but there is still a whole lot open for debate and for adventure and for experience. So that is what I want to continue or begin to share more of here on the podcast. Is not just about my day-to-day life in China, although that will be, of course, part of it because, again, this is where I live. Most of my experiences are going to be influenced by my day-to-day, the people I meet, the things that I experience. But I'm also going to start sharing things that I read. I'm going to go deeper into some of the subject matter that I find interesting right now, that these things are shaping my life and my thought process right now. So hopefully you guys will enjoy that. As always, if you have any feedback, you can hit me up on my Instagram. You can hit me up, leave a rating and a comment here on the podcast. You can also go to my website, nomadicthrive.com. You can sign up for the email list and you can send me your comments. So that was the major opening subject, I guess, would be the rebranding of the podcast. But now I want to shift into where my mind has been at over the last few weeks. So over the last 4 weeks, 3.5 weeks to be precise, I have started a new position in my current company. It's basically the same job, a little bit larger in scope, and it's at a different location leading a different team. Now, I don't really share what I do. If you know me, then you know what I do. I'm not going to share that. I really try to keep work and any sort of social media content completely separate. So there's never any, conflict of interest or anything like that. However, it is a reality of my life. 40, 50, sometimes 60 hours a week go to work and my career. So for me to completely ignore it would seem strange and weird. So anyhow, I have shifted over the last few weeks, and this transition has absolutely thrown my daily habits into the garbage. So the rest of this episode, I want to get into habits how they fall apart, and how to get back on track once you've noticed that they've fallen apart. So, for me, as I stepped back and tried to analyze this over the last few days, what I noticed is that there is a keystone habit, or a gateway habit, if you want to think of it that way. And this could be just me attaching meaning to something. I don't have any scientific data to back what I'm about to share up, so please know that. But for me, my sense of it is when I stopped meditating about 3.5 weeks ago. Now, I had been on this amazing streak since January, really since the COVID-19 crisis broke out. I needed to get back into my daily mindfulness practice to deal with stress, to deal with uncertainty, also for just overall health and staying focused. So I have found in the past, I don't know, I've been probably meditating off and on for 7 to 10 years, give or take. Some years really great, some years hardly at all. But it's been at least lurking in the shadows of my life for about 10 years. And what I found is that when I am meditating frequently, consistently, everything else is better in my life. My fitness is better, my sleep is better, my stress is better, my eating habits are better. I find myself not craving alcohol or escape as much. For me, my big vice, I guess, if you would call it a vice, when I get stressed, or if I want to unwind, my drug of choice, if you will, is red wine. There's nothing better for me than at the end of a very stressful day to come home and, crack open a bottle of a nice Pinot Noir and relax with, a glass or two, or more some nights, unfortunately. So I have gone back and forth throughout my life, kind of battling this crutch. And I hesitate to even describe it that way because it was funny. I was just having this conversation with a good friend of mine, Dalton, and we were discussing a friend of ours from high school who lost their spouse due to alcoholism. And, we were, of course, saying how tragic and sad that was. And we were both also reflecting on our alcohol consumption over the years. And what was really interesting for me is I am just way too much of a weakling, I guess, if you could even call it that. But my hangovers are brutal. They always have been. What I have found is that I don't think I could ever turn into a full-blown alcoholic, and perhaps that's naive. So, take it for what it is. Again, I'm not a health professional. But for me personally, I don't have the fortitude. I don't have the strength. I don't have the determination to kind of push through the pain of that hangover to, do it again the next day. So anytime I drink too much and I wake up in the morning and I just feel terrible, it scares me off the booze for weeks, which is, I guess, a good thing. But anyhow, that's a long kind of side digression. But we all find comfort in different things is what I'm trying to bring up. And those mental crutches, or those things that we rely on to get us through the pain of living your day, or the stress of your life, or the stress of the COVID outbreak, or the stress of being home and home parenting, or fill in the blank. There's a lot going on right now, guys. Most of us gravitate towards things that bring us immediate comfort, that are automatic pacifiers of the mind and the soul. And for me, it's that red wine. What I have found, though, is that when I meditate consistently, I am able to catch that craving, right? I'm able to see the cue, whatever that might be. I see a bottle of wine. I think about it. I think about how stressed I am, and it's cued. Something in me, an emotion is sparked. And I am able to catch myself in the middle of that craving for that relaxation, that escape feeling, easier when I have a consistent meditation practice. So yeah, for me, the gateway habit, when I set aside meditation about 3.5 weeks ago, and I didn't even do it consciously, which is funny, which is ironic when you think about meditation, which is all about building, consciousness and awareness. I didn't even do it consciously. It just, one night I forgot to do it. And then the next morning, because I didn't remember to do it the night before, I forgot to do it. And then it just compounded. I was too busy. And then I would catch myself like, oh, dude, you forgot to meditate. Dang it, I'll try to get to that when I get home. And then, I would have a glass of wine when I got home. Oh, okay. Well, now that I'm feeling pretty good, I don't feel the need to meditate. Or part of, I shouldn't even say part, nearly the totality of when somebody or anyone of us escapes into a substance, it is because of the mind altering effects, right? None of us will take any sort of a substance in this class, be it, drugs, alcohol, tobacco, if it didn't alter our state of mind, our state of being. So by definition, once I've had that first glass of wine, the odds of me then pausing and going to meditate are zero. So it started with setting aside meditation, again, not consciously, more of just allowing life to get in the way, and then not having the discipline to get back on until yesterday. So once meditation slipped, then, as I've already gotten into, it was easier to then start allowing, alcohol, nightly alcohol back into my life. Then, because I felt like hell in the morning, because I had, 3 glasses of red wine, which always gives me a headache, I wake up in the morning, not probably fully hungover, but I'm definitely not my best. Then it was easy to make a bad meal choice. Okay. So I was moving slower in the morning, took me longer to get going, needed more coffee to get going. I'm racing to work because I sat on the couch just feeling terrible. I didn't bounce right out of bed as I might have because, alcohol also hurts your sleep, which we'll get into in a minute. So then instead of skipping breakfast, which I've usually been doing since I started my weight loss journey in November, I've been doing kind of like an intermittent fasting to where I'll just skip breakfast and my first meal is lunch. I started going to Starbucks in the morning, which is the worst, right? It's the equivalent of going to McDonald's. Everybody thinks it might be healthier just because like it's packaged a little bit better and it's Starbucks. It's not known as fast food, but it's all the same crap. I mean, it's terrible stuff, right? It's croissants. It's these fake egg and meat packed croissants. It's these sugary yogurts. So some mornings I was good and I would get like just a little bag of cashews or whatever, which, not the worst thing for you, but high in calories. But on my bad days, I would break down for the yogurt with the mixed berry sauce and the granola crumbles, which is terrible in so many ways for me. So anyhow, not meditating, then drinking, then making bad food choices, then I feel like hell by the time I get home because my blood sugar's all over the place. So what do? I have another sugary, starchy, carb-filled meal. Wash it down with booze again, some sort of a dessert. I've been, eating dark chocolate all of my adulthood. I love dark chocolate, but, 1 square turns into 6 squares as you're sitting, reading or watching a movie or whatever you're doing to relax at night. And then, I've got wine in me again. I've got sugar spiking, and then I go crawl into bed, and then my sleep quality goes down, which is measurable because I wear a sleep tracking device. So all of these things compounded, then when I wake up in the morning again, I don't want to go work out. Now you add your fitness, which is now falling apart. So from my one gateway habit of allowing meditation to be set aside, created this cascade of events that pretty much any and all of my daily habits went by the wayside. Now, I haven't mentioned content creation and I haven't mentioned creativity. Well, what do you think I feel like doing in the morning or at night when I've got all of these chemicals, these bad chemicals racing through my blood? I haven't slept. I don't feel well. And I'm stressed because I'm not, practicing meditation and I'm starting a new thing at work. Yeah, I don't feel like creating. I don't feel like being creative at all, right? So my content creation has gone down. I haven't taken as many photos, certainly haven't edited any YouTube videos, haven't made any podcasts. The one thing I still have kept up on is writing for the most part. I haven't necessarily been creating anything new because I'm in the final stages of this stupid novel that I've written. I say stupid because I'm so tired of this damn thing. I just got the final edits back a week ago from my editor. And these were the re-edits of the big edit. And now I'm just formatting it to make it, actually look like a novel on the printed page. So it's not just a Word document. Now I'm actually putting it into a formatting software to make it look like it's, an actual book. So it looks, nice and pretty with like chapter breaks and, the right font. And anyways, so that's what I'm working on now. So that should be done by, I don't know, June 8th. I think I have to send it back to her for a final proofread, and then it's done. Done. Then I can do whatever I want with it. I can either send it out, I can self-publish, I can do whatever. So I'm still doing that. So that's good. So I've still retained enough energy to stay focused on that one goal. But my ability to juggle multiple creative things that I like to do has gone by the wayside. And again, it's this cascade effect. It's this additive effect or subtractive effect, I guess, if you think of it, in the pejorative, is like because I allowed myself, at least in my mind, to stop my meditation practice, then it has caused all these other ripples in my life to where in 3.5 weeks, all of the behaviors that I've built since November, I allowed them to all go away in 3.5 weeks. So now that all sounds like bad news, right? That sounds like, wow, Michael, you really failed there, man. Well, yes, if you look at it like that. I don't look at it like this. When I was in my late 20s or early 30s, you're right. I would have looked at it like that. I would have said, the hell with it. This is why I don't try. This is stupid. I'll never be good at this, blah, 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 blah. And I would then take the next 2 to 5 years off from doing anything productive. Well, I've learned a lot since then. I'm in my mid-40s now, as mentioned earlier. And I think one of the keys to overall health and overall success is to catch your slips earlier. Now, yeah, it took me 3.5 weeks. But you know what? In the past, it may have taken me a year. It may have taken me 6 months to see the backslide. So I caught it yesterday. Caught it immediately, reread a book on habits that I've read now 3 times. It's called Atomic Habits by James Clear. For me, one of the simplest, easiest ways to understand habit formation and systems in your life. I just highly recommend it. There's a bunch of them out there, and I've read a lot of them, but this one, for whatever reason, just really resonated with me. Very practical advice, very practical steps. It just seems to work. So Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's a huge bestseller. You guys have probably already owned it or you've seen it. So take a look at that if you have not. So anyways, I reread all of the highlighted sections in the book. And yes, I highlight nonfiction books, some fiction books too, if there's some particularly amazing prose or something like that. But most of my nonfiction books that I have yellow and orange highlighters or those little sticky tabs sticking out of it like a porcupine with all the important stuff, so I can revisit it. Anyhow, so I reread all the highlights yesterday. I actually got on his website, looked around to just remind me of the importance of these daily habits, that build into then the success of your goals. But also to give myself a little bit of inspiration. I immediately meditated again. Then by the end of the day, I had a good 20-minute session last night before I went to bed. Did not drink yesterday. I ate okay. Honestly, my breakfast wasn't great, but then dinner, I was fairly healthy with dinner. And then this morning I woke up and immediately went to writing. I did the morning pages. So I can't remember what the book is called, The Artist's Way or The Way of the Artist or something like that. It was written like 30 years ago, but it's this practice. Basically, it's 2 major things to keep you kind of focused on your creativity, your daily creation practice. And one of those things is the morning pages. And it's just a free flow. First thing you do when you wake up, you just go to your word processor or your diary or your journal or whatever, and you just start going. No censoring. You can literally just say, this is the dumbest thing I've ever done. I can't believe I'm writing. I haven't even had my coffee. Like, you can just whatever you want, right? Because when, a creative person, quite often we have this feeling of resistance that we don't want to do our craft. We have every excuse in the book. And what these morning pages do, because you don't have to produce anything good, it allows you to get all the crap, all of the self-censoring, all of the mental chatter kind of out onto the page for 3 pages. And then your mind is clear, at least the theory goes, and then you can, go on with your day. So first thing I did is I made a cup of coffee, sat down, knocked out 1,600 words on morning pages. I don't know if that's 3 pages. I don't really worry about it. I then meditated for 15 minutes, I think, this morning. Yeah, 15 minutes. And then I went for a run. And then now I'm back and I'm recording a podcast episode. So, it's early days getting back into the habits, but I feel better. I feel re-energized. I feel focused. Oh, the other thing I did last night, and this is, again, something that I deeply believe in, is that You have to understand your values as a person. You have to make sure your goals align with those values. You have to have daily habits that actually create and can help you succeed in the goal, right? So, I think one of the examples that's always used is if you want to be able to do 100 push-ups, that's your goal. You can't read a book on push-ups as your daily habits. You have to have relevant daily habits that lead you to your goal, meaning you got to do some push-ups. You actually got to do the push-ups. You can't just read a book about push-ups. And then the fourth step, which a lot of people miss, in my opinion, in my experience, what I do for work is I lead people. I have a team of people, 300 at this new assignment now. I have 300 people that report directly to me, and one of the things that I do is I help them set goals and daily habits, for their own work. And the last step that I try to help them with is, how are you going to put that on your calendar? How are you going to make sure that those daily habits happen? So one of the things I did last night, as I reminded myself that I got to get back into all of these things, I revisited my personal daily calendar. So if you look in my iCal, I have two different colors, two different calendars. I don't get too complex. I don't have a workout calendar and this calendar and that calendar. I just have personal, work. Boom, easy. Two different colors, blue and yellow. Yellow is personal, blue is work. And I calendarize everything in my personal life, and I calendarize every hour of my work life for the most part, about 90%. So, that's how I do it. That's what works for me. But last night, I revisited the habits and the calendarized steps on my daily habits to make sure that they're all aligned. So yes, there is some tweaking I had to do, to be honest. With the new realities of this new position, my work schedule has shifted slightly. Well, I need to realign my habits. I got to make sure that I am budgeting the time to do the things that will help me achieve my goals that are aligned with my values, right? It's this virtuous, vertical integration from calendared events, habits, goals, values that all align. That is the key to get, progress in your life accomplished. These are the things that work for me, guys. This is why I'm sharing it. So yeah, that's what I wanted to share today. Not a very long episode. I guess we're coming up on a half hour. You guys are probably tired of hearing me rambling. So looking forward, I do have some episodes planned. I do have some guests lined up actually. So I don't think I'm going to get to that this week or maybe next week, but probably by week 3 and 4 here of kind of this new kickoff. I'm going to be posting an episode once per week, and I'm going to have some guests. So look forward to that. Until then, take care of yourself, stay healthy, and think about your daily habits. Think about the things that pull you off track. If you can, I cannot stress the importance of finding that gateway, that keystone habit that if you do every day leads to other great things in your life. Until next time, I'll see you guys later.